Howdy folks, Grok the DuckFarmer here, and I'm on the FTOG FTB Revelation server. This is my solar array, which isn't working because, you know, it's night, obviously. But I do want to do something over here. I want to turn off some things. I'm going to turn off my nanobot beacon, which gives me luck and hearts and night vision, and actually no longer night vision. That one is water breathing. That's creative flight. I built a second one. This is just the single tier because I added night vision on it. So I could come in here and turn that on and off. And if the lever is on, it's giving a redstone signal, which is turning these beacons off. So at this point, if we take a look, these are running out and gone. That's the point. There we go. I lost 4 hearts of health there and took a little damage. But at this point, I have no nanobot beacons on, but I can still fly. Because, no, there are no rings or anything like that, no angel rings. Instead, Astral Sorcery is a thing. I have a flight ritual going. Oh, and I did some work in the last time. Had this in place, and this in place, I went ahead and added some mechanical users with, you know, if you're having something that runs continually, always be able to turn them off. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm using this. This is the reliquary pedestal with the coin on top. Let's see which coin. What's the name of this coin? Come back here. Yeah, Coin of Fortune. It sucks up items and XP. And because the redstone is turned on that, it's active. So anything that gets dumped in here gets sucked into that little area. And I think it's like a 6 radius, which means these... Oh, hey, that just split. Cool. These are just out of reach. Neither one of them is big enough to go ahead and cut to a better size. Anyway, so that's been working. I can take a whole bunch of aquamarines. Let's do aqua. Let's do like 16 and lens. Because I can spell lens. I've got a bunch of those. Glass. Because things that I've been doing a bunch with these glass panes. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Panes, not lenses. Durr. Anyway, I can sit there and put these in here. Let's turn these on. This has a resonated wand, so that activates this. So it will go ahead and put items in and then just automatically suck them right out. And you can see we've got the stuff showing up in here automatically. It's really cool. And over here, I have a containment chalice. And although you can't see it, this is actually a facade, and there's an ender tank down below where it is gathering, you know, has the liquid starlight, and it feeds up into the containment chalice. And since this is linked, you can see that streaming stuff going on. Instead of losing the stuff, the liquid starlight from around here, it's coming out of this. So this is very nicely automated. This is upgraded. I've got all the spectral relays that I need on it. And yeah, I had a little industrial accident over here with the attunement altar. Well, here's the problem. When this is all up and working and you've got all these spectral relays laid out in the pattern of a constellation, and that constellation is up in the air, then this actually lifts up. These gold pieces lift up. And I think it lifted up what was going on, and it's kind of scary. Anyway, so I went ahead and added a travel anchor there, so I can get to that easily. But I also decided to put some flight on here. Now, the way to do that is you make a ritual pedestal, and that's what the bottom is. And then, and then you want to take a collector crystal, and this one happens to actually be linked or tuned up there. Dangerous. Is attuned to the constellation that will give you flight, and so that's linked over here, which gives flight in a range around this ritual pedestal. In fact, it gave flight out to here. So if you were within, and I think this is like 31, 32 blocks from there, then you had to create a flight. You flew out to here, and you waited a few seconds, and then you went thump and hit the ground. So then I went ahead, and once this was powered up, I went ahead and added all these lenses, because a little side light was coming out, and so I added the lenses to reflect more power back to it. And I actually added a second collector crystal that should also increase the distance. And after having done that, the distance went all the way out to here, which is like 111 blocks or something like that, which is quite a good flight distance, but I'm not really centered around there very much. So I did a ritual anchor, and that's what was floating on top of that thing here. So anybody who is within about 111 blocks of this ritual anchor, so pretty much everybody in this area where I have buildings at this point, has creative flight. Don't go flying away or it will run out pretty soon. So let's go ahead, since that's been shown off. I do like to have my hearts and healing and whatnot back on. Let's go back here, show off more of the stuff. Showed off that. This over here is the observatory, and all you need is just the observatory itself. You don't need any of the other stuff around it, but I wanted it to look nice. And speaking of looking nice, hey, there's Mekle. Speaking of looking nice, one of the things I did is I did a whole bunch of chiseling and bitting stuff, because I long ago decided I wanted the white of the marble to be contrasted by the dark wood, and I think this is the ebony is the darkest, or the blackest of the dark, or it's the darkest of the black woods, and I wanted that contrast here, but it needed a border. And Mekle suggested doing the gold, because there's already enough gold inside a lot of the Astral Sorcery bits. And I said, ooh, that works. So I started doing a little trim, adding a little liquid starlight for light and I think that looks really nice. I have to admit, I keep enjoying coming over here and looking at that and going, yeah, that looks pretty cool. So speaking of the liquid starlight, over here is where I've been making it. Got my resonating gems. Now, in the last episode, or when I was doing this, I was talking about the amount of liquid starlight you would get from the aquamarines and whatnot. And so I went ahead and did... I did 76 of these, and they gave me about 7 buckets of liquid starlight each. Taking the whole amount, dividing by the amount I got, and there's stuff hidden underneath here. You can see there's a conduit facade there to put it into the gargantuan drum, and also a ender tank that ports it from here to there. Anyway, putting a crystal on top, and I was trying something over there at the base with lava that wasn't working, and that's where I had the crystal. Having the crystal on top improved the amount of liquid starlight I was getting up to about 9 buckets on average instead of 7. So they're definitely worth having that. So that's one of the things I've been doing here is growing up these celestial crystals. How are you doing? Yeah, you've got enough to sharpen, so I'm going to put you right there, and we'll start growing that one because it needs a little bit more mass. And so that's what I've been doing. Been having fun with that. One additional thing that I did, and it's over by the base, which I think is really cool, is this beastie here. This is the celestial anchor. No, I lied. Celestial gateway. You can see how it's gotten kind of dark when you're standing right here in the center. Looking around, there are stars. Do you see these stars? And if you name this in an anvil and then place it down, there you can see there's names on these now. So Mekle's base. Now we've been to Wild's base already. And if you crouch, isn't that cool? I just teleported over to Wild's Astral Sorcery area. And that is a pretty slick thing. Plus, we can also go, there's the nether, so we can zip to other dimensions too. And here's where he's got his nether area. And not very a safe area for this, but really, really cool. And let's go back to my base. And once you've been there, it gives you that little tiny snapshot, a little thumbnail of what it looks around in the area. And that's why I decided to bring it up here, because I wanted hopefully the thumbnail that would link more to my base. And then I read the instructions and found out that if you anvil those things, it works out very well. And oh, that's so pretty. All right, now, so that's probably about all I'm going to be doing with Astral Sorcery. There's a few things that I'll probably add on. I've got all of the constellations except for one that comes up like once a month in-game time. It's like every 31 days or something like that. So I still need to work on that. But that's pretty much as I'm going to be going. But I do want to do a little base tour of Mekle, who's been roaming around here, to show off what he's been doing, because he started with Astral Sorcery way earlier and pretty much has devoted most of his attention to Astral Sorcery. So anyway, I'm going to go hook up with Mekle and go visit his base. And we are here with my friend Mekle at his base. And as you can see, he's done a lot of work here, and his base is looking good. So nice job there, Mekle. Thanks for letting me come show off your base.
Thank you. Yep, this is just the beginning.
Oh. So that's not the whole thing. So this is just your starter hovel.
Yep.
And then you decided to go big into Astral Sorcery.
Oh boy, howdy did I.
And I'm going to pull up a little bit. Yeah, you can see there's all these, lots and lots of paths and everything done. So you just went down the rabbit hole of Astral Sorcery a whole bunch.
Yes, I did.
All right, so
it has been extremely useful.
It's been a really fun mod. A lot of people kind of get the hate on for magic mods, but I do enjoy it. And you've got a little friend floating around your head. What is that?
Yes, I do. That's a wisp. In this case, it's a Patreon effect for being a patron of Astral Sorcery.
Ah, well, there you go. Because I know Torgal has one for the same sort of thing with actual editions. It's the little Restonia crystal floats around his head. But that is pretty cool. All right, I thought maybe that was an in-game, you could make the wisp, but nope.
No.
So go ahead and do a quick rundown of what you've got going on here in your area.
All right, well, to talk a little bit, we'll start looking back over the hovel. You'll see I have a starlight generator using a very upgraded starlight source crystal, a floating crystal. There's quite a bit of that starlight being used, and I'll show that as we go around the base here. Most of my floating crystals are the fully upgraded kind with the bases underneath them, just because it more than doubles the output of the crystal to do that.
Which is handy.
Very, very. This one here is powering both the altar and my transformation setup over here, so that I can do automated conversion of iron ore to the star ore.
Yep.
There's, of course, my observatory over here next to a setup that is currently not running because that's I'm going to say this wrong, but it's Horologium, which is the one that will actually accelerate machines. But for performance reasons, I only run it when I'm actually doing big processing.
Yeah. And it's got the same arrays of the lenses around there, and so that
Oh, yes.
and then the
It's fully upgraded.
yeah, fully upgraded with the anchors, so it's centered on your base, so all your machines underneath your
Yep.
Christmas tree are all running extra fast.
There's something like 4 anchors in the core of my Christmas tree that are sitting over your head when you're sitting on the elevators when you go up and down it.
Yeah, I can see little white particles inside there from those.
Yep. And this is the ritual over here that's giving me flight here around the base, and that's the one producing the white particles in the middle of the tree. And it's also fully upgraded. You can see what it looks like when it's fully powered and has all the lenses running. It's actually very, very pretty.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed with the Astral Sorcery. It's a very pretty mod, and performance-wise, it's also very nice. It's very low tick on a server.
Yes, it's one of the lower tick mods out there. Okay, and as you can see in my attunement altar here, I've got a constellation set up, and it's night, so it's doing the little laser thing.
Yep, and that constellation is up tonight, too.
Yep. That particular constellation is Mineralis. If I were to make a ritual out of that, it would convert stone to ore, which in a very big block, it has a very large range of effect.
That would be
not something I terribly need at the moment, because deep down underneath the hovel, I also have a void ore miner, so that keeps me in most of my ore.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you probably have rock right underneath your attunement altar, because mine got lifted up into the air the first time I actually activated it with a constellation. So, but I just had like 3 layers of dirt, so that's not very sturdy.
Yeah. This is mostly rock underneath all of this.
Yeah, that helps.
Done a lot of stuff down there.
Yep.
This particular ritual over here that I'm over now is a mob suppression ritual, and it has a very long distance, 1,000+ blocks.
Yeah, which is huge. Yeah. It would be a lot of megatorches to do the same effect, and you just do the one and boom, you're done. And
right. I think I experimented with it walking over to your base, and I got almost to your base before I started seeing spawns.
Yeah, because I'm about 1,500 blocks that away, and if I were to hook up one of these, and I probably will, because, pretty... I think you could walk between our 2 bases and there'd be nothing spawning.
Yep, very, very safe.
Yep. So
now,
I will do
here's another dead ritual that I don't currently have running. The particular reason why this one's not running is that it's probably my most advanced ritual. The normal version of the crystal that would go in here would spawn monsters, even inside the anti-spawn zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I've actually done a corruption of that crystal with a second constellation, and the resulting crystal, instead of spawning mobs, converts mobs or even peaceful animals, to an alternate form. So in the case of skeletons, it goes to wither skeletons. In the case of chickens, you get gas. Chickens, I believe, is blazes. There was something I found that created gas. I'd have to go look at my notes. But it creates some pretty serious changes in mobs. And I've got it here because right next to it is where my mob farm is. I've got the dark glass so you can see in there nicely.
And that way you could set it up so that it would corrupt whatever mobs are in there and then kill them.
Yes. It works really nicely. It depends on how fast you kill them, of course. The ritual takes a little while to convert. It's not instantaneous when they spawn, so this is one case where you kind of want to kill them fairly fast, but just slow enough for them to convert. The other thing that happens when they convert is they get a wealth effect, so you get more drops off of them.
Oh, well, that's extra handy. I guess you could do the killing in waves. Have like a
Yep.
pulse every 10 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I've considered putting a timer on the mob grinder over here. I haven't because it hasn't been a critical thing of late.
Yeah. And then all your industrial stuff and storage and whatnot is inside your Christmas tree here and down below.
Yes.
And I like the idea of making a Christmas tree out of wood and glass. And you were talking, decorations would be fun too.
Yep, I intend to do all of that. I haven't finished up all of the tree even. As you can see on some of these lower levels, I've started to add more branching out of the glass, but I haven't done it very high up yet.
Yeah,
so it's just going to take me a little time to keep doing that.
Yeah. Kind of a sprucey look with the side pieces coming out.
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing that you've been doing that has interested me the most is your setup here for doing crystal splitting and growth.
So this setup is a very interesting setup. So there's a ender tank underneath that is bringing in starlight and feeding it into the fluid placer, which is underneath the lever over here.
Yeah.
Keeping that block full of fluid. There's the precision dropper, and that precision dropper, under the ground we have a second one of those entity detectors. I'll go ahead and open it up so that we can see some of this.
So yeah, you've got an advanced entity detector from Draconic Evolution in here.
Yep.
And if I look at it, it's set to a threshold of 1.
Yes, and so it's producing a signal of 15 if there is at least one entity, in this case an item entity, within its range.
Right.
Since we actually have a crystal over here soaking, it is currently producing a signal. It's going through a Project Red null cell, which was nice because it let me do both the redstone torch reversal and a right turn into the precision dropper all in one cell, all in one block. And so when that item disappears for one reason or another, we no longer have one, and so it will pulse and eject another one into that pool.
Right. And so that way you've got a storage here of 9. And I like that you've got a limitation on this. It would be possible to set up a situation where you've got a huge amount of starlight being pumped into a pool like you've got here with a fluid placer, and you drop in a crystal and it grows up to max size and then splits, and now you've got 2 crystals in there, and these crystals don't despawn in the world.
Right.
So now you've got 2 crystals in there, and as you keep pumping in the fluid, one of them is going to consume that fluid and get bigger, and eventually you're going to have 3 because it'll split.
Actually, no. That's one of the nice things about Astral Sorcery.
Oh, good.
If there are two crystals in the same block of starlight, neither of them absorbs.
Perfect. So that limits that possibility of a runaway effect. Because I could see somebody setting up the fluid placer and it just go grow, and now you've got 10,000 of these sitting here.
Right. That's one of those things where the mod designer did a very good job of making sure that you weren't going to have runaway effects. Now, which is good. Yeah. Given what I've built here, you could accidentally create a small runaway effect, but it wouldn't be as hard on the server as what you described. So you're actually standing on top of a Ender IO vacuum chest that's been painted and has a piece of redstone on top of it. The way that works is it's set up so that the other entity detector here has a threshold of 2. And so when the crystal splits, and there's 2 of them sitting in there, the entity detector will create a pulse, which will cause the vacuum chest you're on to suck up everything that's within range. Mm-hmm. So both of the crystals will get sucked up. dropping down to 0 and triggering the release of a new crystal.
Right, and so here you've got the purity remains the same, but the cutting in size is dropped because they've split. And at this point...
Well, they're randomized.
Okay. And so you start with up to 9 crystals that are... Well, if we look at these, they have the purity and cutting both maxed out, but the size needs to grow. And then they just keep getting spit in. Actually, we had one of those split recently because I see there's
no, we did.
Did you pull it out?
So you're getting a little ahead of me, unfortunately. So what you're seeing there is I'm actually not splitting crystals right now. I'm currently growing crystals to max. Okay. So the way it works is that there's another vacuum chest right where I'm standing, and it's got a Ender.io advanced item filter in it. And so if it sees a crystal that is maxed out across all the stats, it'll suck it up before it splits.
Okay, so advanced item filter, I see it's got the crystal. It's whitelisting those, match metadata, match NBT. So it's the combination of the metadata and NBT that's saying when it's the max 900, 100, 100, then suck it up.
Right. And so if I put one of the crystals, there's actually some crystals in the redstone covered chest that are lower. If I put one of those in and have it go through the system, because the cutting is not fully 100, it will grow and split.
Okay.
And it will randomize the cutting when it splits.
All right. So it's not... If all you're doing is just wanting to split crystals, you don't care about the cutting. But if you want to max them out and use them, then you do care about the cutting and making sure that the purity and cutting are 100 and then grow them.
Right. And then when they grow, they will be fully maxed out and suck into the other vacuum chest over here. Which
slick.
Works great. Means a lot less manual interference to keep things going. You just have to every now and then pick out some crystals to grind to 100 cutting and let it go.
I like this setup. I think if you design this yourself, you need to set up a video or pay me money and I'll do a tutorial for it.
We'll figure something out.
Because I think this is really, really nice, and it's going to be fairly server friendly because it's just slowly ticking along doing the work, and you only have one amount. Because there were times I had 7 or 8 of these holes with fluid in them, so I could grow up a bunch of crystals.
Right.
This is a much easier thing for me than to
and this works really nicely because it just so happens that this is just barely inside the edges of the one chunk I have chunk loaded.
Well, there you go. That would do it. Well, thank you very much for letting me wander around and take a look at your base and for the assistance you gave me earlier for setting up my Astral Sorcery. I used your observatory a whole bunch because I needed one of the constellations and I was having a real hard time ever getting my telescope to work, so I used yours. And it worked great.
It works for me.
So, and this is the most I've ever gone into Astral Sorcery, and I'm thinking early game stuff, this is loads of fun, and also late game stuff, there's tons of really good things in this, and I'm really enjoying the gateway and zipping places.
Before you jump away, there is one thing that I don't know that you and I have actually covered, which is the stellar refraction table that I have over here.
Yes, I know. I haven't done anything with this yet.
Let me toss you my helmet, which was done by the stellar refraction table. And take a look what's on that thing.
Mending 2, night vision, respiration 4. Those are unusual.
They are very unusual and very powerful. They have very long times before they expire, and that's just a sample of some of the stuff that the table is capable of producing.
All right, I'm gonna have to look at that because I like the spells on my armor, but I think I may, better spells is better. Oh, and so you got to pick different stuff to put on the glass, I'm guessing, and that determines.
Yes, yes, and you have to engrave the glass at nighttime. This is one of 2 engraved glasses I have. They have slightly different setups.
Very, very nice. And you don't have... Oh, no, you do have running over here the tree farm bit where it actually...
Yes, I do.
It sucks up the stuff, the tree beacon here.
The trees are in pretty bad shape because they've been... But
yeah,
there used to be 2 trees that were doing this. One here and one in the middle of this other chunk. But they're pretty much...
got a sapling.
Yeah, I did. I walked through it as it was producing the sapling.
Yeah, but I was looking at it, and you had these kind of spectral trees here, which was very, very cool looking effect. And again, Astral Sorcery has some of the coolest looking effects. You know, these fully upgraded altars. Except when you run through the gateway here, where everything gets dark. These fully upgraded altars are fantastic looking with the colors and the prisms, and now I can look up in the night sky and see a whole bunch of constellations. All of that's good stuff.
Yep.
So, well, again, thank you very much. I think I will probably make the mob stopping ritual and center that on my island, because I think that would be a good idea.
Yep. And
and off to my base. Vroom. That's a cool effect.
I love that one.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Thanks again.
Quite welcome.
And there you have it. Astral Sorcery, again, I was saying, it's got some of the coolest looking effects. One of the things that Mekle wasn't really mentioning, but he's been talking with the mod author, and they've been diving into the code, and the Astral Sorcery has a whole bunch of multi-block structures. You know, you've got to have these structures in the right setup, so it looks... It's got to have the right marble in the right location, and you can't have other things in place. And that could be incredibly CPU hammering on the server, but instead it's very, very minor amounts, because together they've worked on... the mod author started with some really good code there, but also Mekle worked with him to add some additional things, so it's super low tick. And that is always good when you're on a multiplayer server, because some of the other mods, mechanism, where the many block structures sometimes can produce a huge amount of tick and just make an area or a server unplayable, which is not a good thing at all. But again, it just looks really cool. I love the white. I love, you know, having the ebony now. You know, yay, forestry, so that I can do that. And you know, flight is always cool. There's a weird effect if you have flight from an angel ring or a beacon or some other effect, and somebody just slept, and you come in here and you leave the area of this ritual below me, you will drop. But then you just, you know, double tap again to start flying, and your enchantment of whatever it is will pick you up again. And so if you happen to be here with flight and you go flying out to do stuff and all of a sudden you drop, that's why. Now you know. Anyway, fun mod. I'm going to have fun digging deeper into it, but I don't think I'll showcase any more of it at this point. But I did have lots of fun setting that up, and yeah, avoid doing too much with an attunement altar and just ripping up your base. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. Anyway, this has been Grok the DuckFarmer here on the FTOG Feed the Beast Revelation server. Having a blast, and thanks for watching. Bye.